Hey everyone, today we'll be going over how to reverse a linked list both iteratively and recursively. So the first big idea is we're going to look into what it means to reverse a linked list. Then we'll go into the two ways of reversing the list. So what does it mean to really reverse a linked list? This is what a normal linked list looks like, and we can just call the first node the previous node, and the second node the next node. Now for the reversed list, notice that the next node is actually pointing to the previous node. And the previous node, this is actually a little bit subtle, where the previous node's next pointer actually doesn't exist anymore, right? So we can actually have it be pointing to none. The way we're going to do this iteratively is with two pointers. The first pointer, our current pointer, is going to point at 1, and our previous pointer is actually going to point to none. And the reason we do this is so that our current pointer's next can point to our previous pointer. That's the definition of what it means to reverse a list, right? And then after that, we're just going to move our previous and current to the next nodes. And same thing, we're going to have current actually point to previous. And then we'll repeat one last time, have current point to previous. And now notice that our current doesn't point to anything anymore. So all we have to do is return previous. So now let's take a look at what the code looks like. So we initialize previous and current. Previous is pointing to none, and current is pointing to head. While our current node exists, we are going to first save current's next node, and then we do the reversal. Current.next is equal to previous. Now we can advance previous by setting previous to current, and then we can advance current by setting current equal to temp. And finally, we will return previous. So reversing the linked list recursively is a little bit trickier, but I've broken it down into 3 steps. First, we need to get all the way back to the end of the list. And this last node that we hit is actually going to be the head of the reversed list, so we need some way of passing that node back up. And then at each node, we can just apply the reverse operation. So let's walk through an example. The first time I call my recursive function, I will be passing in the head of the linked list, so we'll be pointing at node 1. However, we need to reach the end of the linked list, so one way of doing so is to just keep calling the recursive function on head.next. That way we'll get to node 2, and then node 3. And this is our base case, because, well, there's no next for this particular node. And we can set that this is going to be our return value. So this is a node that we want to be passing all the way back up through our recursive stack. So after we return our last node, we go up 1 layer, and now our current call is looking at node 2. And this is where we actually do a reversal. So we'll say current.next is equal to current. So 2.next is 3. 3.next we want to point back to 2. And we also want to set current.next equal to none. And that's how we get rid of that pointer you see from 2 to 3. Then we go up 1 layer again, same thing. We're going to set current.next to current, and then we're going to set current.next to none. And remember that the return value was always pointing to the last node, and this is going to be our reversed linked list. So what does this code look like? We're going to define a helper function, and our base case is, well, if current doesn't exist, or if there isn't a next for the current, then we can just return the current, which is going to be the head of the reversed list. Now we want to reach the end of the linked list, right? So we're just going to call our recursive function on current.next. And once we've actually gotten something back from this helper, then this is where we actually do the reversing. Current.next is equal to current, and then we also need to unset the next pointer on our current node, and we will return this last node, which is going to be the first node of our reversed linked list. And our final return value or what we actually call the function on, is going to be head. So we return helper head. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below.